From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon and welcome to your 2:30 News Update. I'm Nathan Maley and here's what's happening. The 2024 budget is being brought to Vancouver City Council today. Our reporter Abby Francis is there with what's going on. Not again.
The Mayor's Budget Task Force brought to their report to City Council, which lays out a potential city budget for infrastructure, environment, planning, and city services. Vancouver City Councillor Pete Fry says normally Council and the Mayor receive the report by October. This year, they saw it for the first time today.
I didn't necessarily support the idea in the first place because it is sort of an appointed group of folks that is, as a partisan appointee kind of role, so it doesn't bring in that lens from a public accountability.
Fry says because of the budget delays, the public services will likely be impacted in the new year. Abby Francis, 1680 The Crow.
New housing rules proposed by the provincial government recently are putting housing projects in jeopardy in the thriving community of Coquitlam. Jerison Orshon talks to the Mayor Richard Stewart about a key change in the rules.
One of the key funding tools used to fund housing projects in Coquitlam are density bonuses, where developers pay the city for funds that can be used to build community amenities around housing. This has been available for almost 30 years and could soon be cut if the new housing rules are in place. Mayor Richard Stewart is concerned about this.
It has been pretty stable, and we have taken enormous advantage of that one provision in order to get a lot of rental housing and a lot of subsidized rental housing built in our community without senior government financing.
The city would have to find other ways to fund housing if the bonus is cut, and Mayor Stewart hopes that they will review the changes with the provincial government. Jason Rochon, 1680, The Crow.
A Saskatchewan drug dealer serving a 12-year prison sentence at a maximum security prison in BC has died. Dale Apay was serving his sentence at Kent Institution in Agassiz. Apay died in custody of Correctional Service Canada Saturday. An inmate was airlifted to hospital from the facility November 20th after a reported assault. It is undetermined at this time if the inmate was Apay. Apay was serving a sentence for attempted murder, possession of prohibited/restricted firearm with ammunition, carrying a concealed weapon, and other charges. The sentence began in May of 2018. People living in Vancouver looking to buy condos in the downtown east side may be out of luck. Our reporter Philip Kovacevic has the details.
ABC Councillor Rebecca Bly presented a motion seeking to expand the housing supply in the downtown east side with below-market prices. However, the proposed housing only includes rentals, not condos, because in 2014 a ban was placed on building condominiums in the downtown east side.
Rebecca is not actually proposing that this ban be removed.
Mr. Keller will be proposing the Vancouver City Council have a look at this ban. Philip Kovacevic, 1680, The Crow.
Israel and Hamas have extended their truce for another day. The truce has reached day 5, with more hostages expected to be released before fighting is expected to resume. U.S. Brigadier General Pat Ryder says that a military aircraft has been used to deliver humanitarian assistance to Gaza.
Today, the United States airlifted 24.5 metric tons, or more than 54,000 pounds, of UN humanitarian supplies to provide vitally needed medical supplies, warm clothing, and food and nutrition assistance to the people of Gaza.
Israel says 10 of its citizens and 2 foreigners were freed by Hamas and entered Egypt, while 30 more Palestinian prisoners were released. Artist Sean Diddy Combs is stepping down as chairman of television network Revolt. Jason Nathanson of ABC News has the details.
Sean Combs has stepped down as chairman of Revolt, says a statement from the company on Tuesday, which points out that Combs had no day-to-day role in the business, but they say the move will keep Revolt focused on their mission to create meaningful content and amplify the voices of all black people. Combs co-founded the company, which launched 10 years ago. The media mogul has recently been accused of sexual assault by several women, claims he denies and his spokesperson characterizes as a money grab. Jason Nathanson, ABC News.
Oh, that does it for your 2:30 news update. I'm Nathan Maley, and I'll see you again.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Teresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
respectfully acknowledge that we are situated on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam nations.
All right.
Get ready, on your toes.
Oh, what a save! All right.
Growing up, like, native tournaments was like a big thing for my parents, and they're the ones that showed me how to play soccer.
As much as Penelope Sparrow is on track to reaching new levels of professional soccer, she does not forget where it all came from.
And they'd bring me around until it got to a point where I was 4 years old, and we put on a pair of cleats and started playing. And I'd be there right by their side, learning with them. And that's kind of where I started. And it just kept going on. I got put in a couple leagues growing up, and I just grew to love it. I was about 13, and that's when I knew I truly loved the sport. Like, it was more than just kicking the ball, like you said. It was more of like a family, us together.
So to welcome you to our territory, which is known as UBC, which is known as Vancouver.
For Thompson Nelson, it's important for him to reflect on his roots while mentoring the next generation of Indigenous athletes.
It was just built into our family, and so from the time I could walk, my dad was throwing a soccer ball at me and just go out and have fun. And he was a traveling kind of traditional artist, merchant salesman, so we'd go to all the soccer tournaments across Vancouver Island, as well as over here on the mainland in the Indigenous circuit. So I just grew up around watching it, playing it, and just watching every aspect of it. And so I really fell in love with it, and every morning I'd go and just watch with him.
Both Thompson and Penelope are currently working with Hope and Health, coaching the younger generation at the UBC Thunderbird Stadium.
Hope and Health is a sport for social impact organization that works specifically with Indigenous children and youth and their communities to develop life and leadership skills. It's about creating a program that's accessible within Indigenous communities. As a result of colonization, programs haven't been accessible, nor have they been created that are culturally safe for Indigenous children and youth. So we wanted to close that gap. We really have been working on creating the pathway from those young, talented athletes that aspire to go pro or play to an elite level as high as they can go. When we had the opportunity to consider to take ownership over the League One BC Varsity FC team, it just made total sense that that would allow us to create that piece, which is the semi-professional, high-performance level, so then we can work with our communities as young as 3, 5 as little champions, all the way through their journey to Natsama FC.
Varsity FC was run by UBC Athletics, but Hope and Health purchased the rights and has rebranded as Natsama FC. Perhaps due to a lack of representation, many Indigenous athletes struggle on their journeys, often giving up.
So we're on the Musqueam field, where I grew up to love soccer. I always feel safe here, comfortable. I know when I've had a long day or a hard day, I try to do other things like art, track, all the other sports, but soccer was always something that I couldn't live without. When they think of soccer, they don't think of us, and obviously that's very hard because growing up, that was my FIFA. Going to tournaments, watching it, it was my FIFA. Like, that was my World Cups. Watching them play, it was like other players I couldn't see in TV. And the kind of passion and like support we have, it should be noticed. You don't see any native players, obviously. And it was just a battle. It's like, am I trying, like, am I doing enough? Am I gonna achieve anything. Like, I didn't see anybody like me. So it was obviously really tough. It's just like, am I there for nothing? Am I doing this all for nothing? Like, there's nobody, I had nobody to like look up to.
One significant kind of moment for me was in high school. I was about 14, and I wasn't, like I said, I was a late bloomer. I was a bit out of shape, I guess, plumper than some of the other boys. And we had these fitness tests to introduce us into the high performance leagues, like for example, like NOTSMA and like UVic, the Union Upton University. And I failed this fitness test. I guess not failed, but I just didn't do well. So that was really significant for me because I was bullied for that, and I felt pretty bad. So then I did that for a year, and then I came back the next year and nobody recognized me. I slimmed out, I got better. People thought I was an exchange student until I said my name. And then I came back and did that same fitness test, and I was in the top 2. I got like level 12 or something. But I think one of the lowest points, it's not a low point, but something you just kind of live with, was, like I said, my dad passed away when I was 7. And then he was one of my biggest role models. And I'm thankful for my uncle taking over and like raising me as one of his own too. But like not having that male figure to really be like, good job, son, or like, you know, like, saying like, good job, son, or like, everybody had their dads there. And me, after I finished a game, I'd just look into the stands, and sometimes I'd have family, sometimes I wouldn't, and then it'd be like kind of like a little, you sit in the change room, you give yourself like a little self vibe, or like, and sometimes it's just nice to have that outer, I don't know, just a little nudge like, hey, you're doing well, just you're on the right path kind of thing. Because sometimes you just don't know, you get lost along the way, and sometimes you need that little push. But I'm grateful for everybody in my life and who have brought me and raised me to bring me to this opportunity. But in essence of barriers, like there definitely is barriers out there. And it can be a struggle, but you just gotta be proud, like don't fall into negativity. Like if somebody has something bad to say about you, just brush it off and just keep moving forward in a positive way. Because as an Indigenous youth, like we're representing our community, not just ourselves. Like it takes a village to raise a child. Like for me as an example, I had uncles, aunties, coaches, a plethora of people that like help support me. And it really shows like growth and development. And you're just there to represent your people to the best of your abilities and just make whoever proud and yourself proud, more importantly. And then just walk in a good way.
I was sitting in bed, not doing nothing, and then I got the call from Jesse. I was just amazed. It felt like my dreams were coming true. My journey was it felt like it was just a fresh start. Like, I was excited. I couldn't even think. I was speechless. When I was talking to him, I didn't even know what I said. I blacked out. Like, it was just, I was like, oh my God. Like, I already know what this is gonna bring, and I'm so excited. Like, I can't even express the emotions.
And when I found out, I was like, okay, this is something cool. This is a big step. Like, let's just go and take the plunge, see what happens. So I came here, and the group was very welcoming, and it was just nice to be in just such a high level. And right away, you could notice the jump. It was faster, people were smarter, the play was just intense. But I loved every minute of it, and I loved seeing if I can rise to the challenge. Oh, what a finish, all right. And when I got that call to come back for more tryouts, and then that final assessment that I made the squad, it was over the moon. I didn't really know how to like react. I was on the ferry trying not to like laugh out loud. I had this like big smirk because I was sitting next to people I didn't know, and I was like, I had to go outside and just like take a breath of fresh air. But it was just awesome, just because just for a moment of like, that's it. This is a big moment just to like prove Indigenous players have capabilities and opportunities to show talent, because there's a lot that fall through the cracks that just don't get that opportunity. And sometimes all you just need is that one, or even that one person that believes in you. And I'm hoping this platform of NOTSMA, and even me just being here, will show other Indigenous youth and other players that you can do it. You just dedication, hard work, and lots of just faith, and just reaching out to, like putting yourself out there, and not being afraid of like the racial barriers or like people doubting you that you can't do it.
For sure. Nice dribbling. Almost. We have them wide. We've been hidden for a long time, overlooked. We don't really get noticed like this, and such an opportunity like this, I can't hold back, express how I play, show how I play. Like, playing with First Nations, it's a different game.
To date, Notsamont FC has signed 11 Indigenous players across the men's and women's teams, including 5 Indigenous assistant coaches. Their inaugural season begins April 29th at Swangard Stadium.
One, two, three.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Teresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Hello everyone, this is 1680 The Crow. I'm Sean Park and this is your 3 o'clock news update. New housing rules proposed by the provincial government recently are putting housing projects in jeopardy in the thriving community of Coquitlam. Reporter Jerison Orashian talks to Mayor Richard Stewart about a key change in the rules.
One of the key funding tools used to fund housing projects in Coquitlam are density bonuses, where developers pay the city for funds that can be used to build community amenities around housing. This has been available for almost 30 years and could soon be cut if the new housing rules are in place. Mayor Richard Stewart is concerned about this.
It has been pretty stable, and we have taken enormous advantage of that one provision in order to get a lot of rental housing and a lot of subsidized rental housing built in our community without senior government financing.
The city would have to find other ways to fund housing if the bonus is cut, and Mayor Stewart hopes that they will review the changes with the provincial government. Jason Rochon, 1680, The Crow.
The 2023 budget adjustments for the Vancouver Police are being presented to Council today at 3. The topic has been quite controversial online. Reporter Abby Francis spoke with a Vancouver City Councillor on the matter.
Instagram posts have been circulating online about the $6.07 million increase tabled in the Vancouver City Council agenda for the Vancouver Police Department. Vancouver City Councillor Pete Fry of the Green Party says he supports hiring more mental health workers, saying it's something he's advocated for since last December, when he tabled the motion to separate those workers with police.
I would, be happy to see well-paid police, but recognize that we can't have lots of them at well-paid because it becomes and where are the efficiencies that we could find to maybe reduce the reliance on police for some of these things, like mental health nurses, for instance.
The Vancouver Fire and Rescue Services were also included in the 2023 budget adjustments with an increase of $2.52 million. Abby Francis, 1680 The Crow.
So now our reporter Abby Francis joins us live in our studio. So Abby, how did the budget only include increases for the VPD?
No, so there's actually two budgets talked about at the meeting. The first one was about infrastructure, city services, arts and culture, parks and rec. That budget is supposed to be finalized in January.
I see. Then how many people showed up in the opposition of the new VPD budget?
There was about 9 people, but 3 had pulled out or didn't show up. But the rest all spoke in opposition of the $6.9 million VPD increase.
Thank you. People living in Vancouver are looking to rent in the downtown east side may need to wait for tomorrow's motion to finalize. Reporter Philip Kovacevic has the details.
Rebecca Bly, the Vancouver City Councillor who brought this motion to the council, wants to improve the need for housing by bringing more rentals below market price. This shakes up the current requirements used by the City of Vancouver.
The formula requiring new projects to be 60% social housing and 40% rental housing is not producing the amount of housing that everybody would like to see,
said Michael Geller, an urban developer. The motion will be decided on tomorrow. Philip Kovacevic, 1680, The Crow.
Moving on to international news, today is the 5th day of the temporary ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. They have been exchanging more hostages for prisoners. Hamas has released 12 hostages and Israel released 30. So far, the ceasefire has allowed humanitarian aid to go into Gaza. Mediators are in Qatar, and they are hoping to extend the temporary ceasefire even though Israel pledged to resume attacking. The truce is due to end after their last exchange on Wednesday night. More news within BC. James Hobart is the Indigenous elected chief of the Spuzum Nation. The Wilderness Committee has recognized him as the 2023 Eugene Rogers Environmental Award recipient. He is being recognized for his heroic and unyielding defense of the endangered spotted owl. Hobart has been dedicating more than 2 decades of his time to protecting the little owls as their old-growth habitat is disappearing to loggers. The Wilderness Committee say Hobart is continuing to protect all remaining spotted owl habitats even as the provincial government issues more permits to log habits on Spuzum land. Around 1,100 members of the Hospital Employees Union working in long-term care facilities formed a new contract with Good Samaritan Canada. The union says they were able to form a collective agreement that prevents workers from contracting out and providing enhanced benefits. But most importantly, for the first time, it includes hallmark protections to wages that are currently subsidized by the province. This news comes after workers did not have a contract for more than 3.5 years. The union says the 5-year contract, which will expire in April of 2025, will play an important role in retaining skilled staff as well as recruiting new ones. In Saskatchewan, the Water Security Agency says a town under a precautionary drinking water advisory accidentally sent out an emergency alert across the entire province of Saskatchewan. The town of Maple Creek says a water main break caused a depressurization of its distribution system, causing the alert to trigger. They then warned everyone in town that they needed to boil water for at least 1 minute before drinking, washing fruits and vegetables, and brushing their teeth. Patrick Boyle is a spokesman for the water agency. Boyle says the town accidentally issued the alert warning across the province instead of focusing on the affected regions. The town says the water break is currently undergoing repairs. They also say the drinking water advisory will be in place until the repairs are done, and water sampling indicates that it is safe to drink. In entertainment news, Sean Diddy Combs is no longer chairman of Revolt Media, a cable TV network focusing on music and social justice news. ABC reporter Jason Nathanson has more about why Combs stepped down.
Sean Combs has stepped down as chairman of Revolt, says a statement from the company on Tuesday, which points out that Combs had no day-to-day role in the business, but they say the move will keep Revolt focused on their mission to create meaningful content and amplify the voices of all black people. Combs co-founded the company, which launched 10 years ago. The media mogul has recently been accused of sexual assault by several women, claims he denies and his spokesperson characterizes as a money grab. Jason Nathanson, ABC News.
Moving into the world of sports, starting with hockey, the Chicago Blackhawks have placed Corey Corey Perry, the team's veteran forward, on unconditional waivers. The team says after an internal investigation, they found Perry did engage in conduct that is unacceptable and violated both terms of his standard player's contract. They also say they intended to terminate his contract even if Perry clears his waivers. Carl Davidson is the general manager of Chicago Blackhawks, and he says that what happened over the past 24 hours has been very disturbing, and it's been very tough for the team. Moving into Canucks and Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim Ducks is on a 6-game losing streak after they take on the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks are trying to bounce back from their game against the San Jose Sharks. The game is set to begin at 7 p.m. tonight at Rogers Arena. The Canucks are looking to be tied for the first place with the Vegas Golden Knights. Free agent Patrick Kane is signing a 1-year deal that's worth $2.75 million. Gethin Kulba is the reporter for the Associated Press. He explains more about the deal.
Patrick Kane is joining the Detroit Red Wings, choosing the championship-rich franchise over other suitors for the 3-time Stanley Cup winner's return to the NHL from injury. A person with knowledge of the decision told the Associated Press on Tuesday Kane has agreed to a contract worth a prorated $2.75 million. The 35-year-old Kane was an unrestricted free agent rehabbing from hip resurfacing surgery in June. The longtime Blackhawk and former #1 overall pick was traded to the New York Rangers last season after spending his first 15 seasons with Chicago. I'm Gethin Kulba.
In football, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have signed a 2-year contract extension with general manager Cal Walters. Danny McManus, who is the assistant general manager and director of U.S. Scouting, and Ted Govela, the director of player personnel, will remain with the team. Walter has been Winnipeg's general manager since being promoted from assistant coach and general manager back in November 2013. In the world of basketball, the Toronto Raptors will play their final tournament game against the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets are in the 3rd place in East Group C, behind the first place Orlando Magic and Boston Celtics. The Nets need to win this game to have any hope of claiming the 1 wild card spot, as well as to reach the knockout stage. 5 teams, including the Nets and Celtics, sit at 2-1 in tournament play. A new study, moving into the world of soccer, new study finds headers in soccer may affect people's brain function over time. Chuck Sivertson is a reporter from ABC News. He explains more about the long-term effects.
Increased heading, or hitting a soccer ball with your head, has been linked with concussion-like brain function changes and lower verbal learning performance in 2 studies. They were conducted by researchers at Columbia University and presented at the Radiological Society of North America annual medical conference. In both studies, adult amateur soccer players were categorized in groups of low to moderate headers or high. Brain MRIs were done at the beginning and after 2 years. Verbal learning was tested after 1 year. Chuck Sivertson, ABC News.
Looking at the weather now, the fog is mostly cleared up, but it's still looking quite cloudy outside, similar to yesterday. Today there will be a mix of sun and a cloud with a high of 6 and a low of 1. The air quality right now is at 1, which is an ideal quality to go out and have some fun, enjoy the outdoor weather. The UV index is also very low. The fog patches will come back again this evening, so make sure to drive slowly and safely. There will be a chance of rain this Thursday through next Monday. Tomorrow it's looking like a mix of sunny and cloudy. Temperatures expected to be a high of 6 and a low of 1. And that's it for 3 o'clock news update. I'm Sean Park, and this is 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Hello and welcome to For the Record. I'm Caitlin O, and on this episode, we'll be talking about food insecurity. The high cost of living, especially here in Metro Vancouver, is a growing issue that we've all been dealing with. Whether it be housing or groceries, it seems as though the cost just keeps on going up. Well, one local nonprofit is helping to solve food insecurity and mitigate food waste in the city. On this episode, I speak with Michelle Reining. She's the executive director of Vancouver Food Runners, and I talk to her about how they're rescuing surplus food from businesses and redirecting them to nonprofits. Hi Michelle, thanks for joining us today. So, as food insecurity is a huge issue right now, how does Vancouver Food Runners work to help solve this issue?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now in BC, 1 in 7 households are food insecure. Vancouver Food Runners, we work with 130 nonprofit partners across Metro Vancouver, and we use app technology and a team of volunteers to help redirect over 100,000 pounds of food to these nonprofit partners each month. The food donations are used in community meals, food hampers, or even for direct food provision.
And which demographics are most in need at the moment?
Well, honestly, food insecurity is impacting many individuals right now and households. In terms of food insecurity, single mothers and their children are a demographic group that are experiencing a lot of food insecurity, racialized populations, seniors with a low income, and at-risk youth and children.
And how much more food or how much more demand have you guys seen compared to when you first started?
Yeah, I mean, given that, we're connecting with our nonprofit partners, from what we hear from them, the wait lists are growing for their programs. I think throughout COVID, you're seeing this, increasing demand. Housing affordability is really impacting so many in the Lower Mainland. You have rising food prices at the moment, and just essentials and transportation as well. We're hearing from our partners that food insecurity remains front and center as a critical issue, and they're having to address this each and every day.
And what has the reactions from different nonprofits been like when they receive food from food runners?
Well, obviously gratitude front and center, but it's such a huge and valuable help to them. Some organizations like the YWCA or Directions Youth Services, we're bringing them almost 100,000 pounds of food. So this is money that they don't have to spend on purchasing food. And it's also money that they can then put back towards their core programming as well. So this is, in some instances, it's really like a financial donation of almost over $100,000 for some of our major partners.
And why is the work that Vancouver Food Runners do important to yourself?
That's a good question. Well, I think for me, food insecurity is obviously a critical issue. At the same time, we're working with about 160 food businesses right now and helping them to redirect their surplus food. So this is, increasing sustainable practices in the food sector. It's helping to reduce food waste and mitigate CO2 from the environment. So we're really, we're touching on two critical issues right now that are very important. And I think, we are a different model in that we use technology and volunteers. So we're incredibly impactful in that sense. We have a very small team, but we can do a lot, especially because our volunteer team is so large as well. So we work with over 300 volunteer food drivers every month to help redirect this food to Metro Vancouver nonprofits that are doing incredible work throughout the city.
And is it just restaurants, or are there grocers that have surplus groceries that you guys collect donations from?
Excellent question. So again, because of the nature of our model, and we're incredibly flexible, so we pick up from a range of food businesses. So picture like small cafes and bakeries, restaurants, but we also work with large wholesalers. We work with retail grocery stores like Safeway, Save on Foods, and Nesters. And then we also work with meal prep companies like Fresh Prep or Up Meals as well. So we're really able to, reach most food businesses across Metro Vancouver and support them in redirecting their surplus food.
And how long does the whole process take from when a business is matched with a nonprofit? How long does it take to get the food to the nonprofits?
Yeah, most of our rescues right now are weekly rescues. So, a volunteer will come and the pickup and then to the actual nonprofit partner is less than 10 minutes. So from start to finish, a rescue is only less than an hour. If a new partner was to call us in the morning and they wanted a donation, we could probably pick up that food within a couple of hours. And again, it goes back to the nature of our model and being able to use technology and volunteer drivers to redirect the surplus food quickly and efficiently.
And is Food Runners only available for nonprofits, or can individuals use the app to access food as well?
Yeah, good question. So right now we're primarily working with nonprofit partners. That said, we do have a couple of drop-offs of direct community fridges. And, that's just the nature of our program and how we operate. But through our nonprofit partners, we're actually reaching over 12,000 individuals per month. So, and all of our partners are spread out across the city. So it's not like, one individual is having to, access one food bank. We're trying to get food to individuals within their neighborhood, within a short drive or walk. So it's increasing sort of equitable access as well.
And you mentioned that there is an environmental aspect to what you guys do. Could you just talk a little bit more about that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Food waste, if food waste is going to the landfill, that's going to create methane, which is, obviously a huge problem for the environment. So by being able to redirect it away from the landfill, we're able to then mitigate that CO2 from the environment. So since we've started, we have mitigated probably 2.5 million pounds of CO2 equivalent from the environment.
And with the holidays coming up, will you guys be doing anything different to help the nonprofits?
Yeah, this year has been such a big year for us. Our program has expanded by over 40% in terms of the amount of poundage we're delivering. By the end of the year, we expect that 1.2 million pounds of food will be delivered to nonprofits. So we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We're a small team. We're trying to meet the need of our nonprofit partners and obviously support them in meeting the needs of their clients. So yeah, if anyone wants to volunteer, it's so easy to download the Vancouver Food Runners app. It's free. You can instantly see the food rescues that are available near you. And at the same time, we're a small nonprofit. So, if you want to support with a financial donation, that is always welcome as well.
And in terms of funding, would you want to see any additional support from the city or any other organizations? What is your funding looking like right now?
Yeah, I think right now a lot of charities and nonprofits, just given sort of the economic context right now, are struggling, for those fundraising dollars. We do have some wonderful financial partners, but again, we offer a free food recovery program. So that means our businesses do not pay anything to be involved in this program, nor do our nonprofits have to pay to receive these donations. So we're entirely reliant upon our financial partners for their support. So yes, if you want to have a big impact, every dollar that is donated to Vancouver Food Runners equals $11 in food being delivered to nonprofits across Metro Vancouver for their food programming. It's a high impact way to give back this holiday season.
And lastly, is there anything else you would want to say about the work that Vancouver Food Runners is doing, as it's obviously very important to the current issues that we're facing?
Yeah, I just thank you for this opportunity to share about Vancouver Food Runners. We're a small Metro Vancouver registered charity. We're a tiny team of 4 full-time staff, and we're having a big impact in the city. And, every day we are grateful to be able to support our nonprofit partners across the city that are doing such incredible work to support so many this holiday season.
All right, thank you so much, Michelle. Thanks for listening to this episode of For the Record. I'm Caitlin O. Stay tuned for more episodes produced by our BCIT students on 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Hello and welcome to your 3:30 Sports Update. I'm Nathan Maley. The Vancouver Canucks are set to get back into action tonight at home versus the Anaheim Ducks. It'll be a special night at Rogers Arena as it's Hockey Fights Cancer Night for the Canucks. Canucks forward Brock Besser knows how important this night is for so many, including himself.
Just hockey players, but everyone in this room, everyone out in the world that knows someone that's dealing with cancer, has lost someone to cancer. So it's obviously something that hits home to me, and it's an important night. And
puck drop is set for 7 p.m. from Rogers Arena. The Chicago Blackhawks placed forward Corey Perry on unconditional waivers for the purpose of contract termination today. Perry has been away from the team for the past few days with what his agent described as a family issue. General Manager Kyle Davidson says it was due to unacceptable behavior, but had nothing to do with any of the Blackhawks players.
However, I do want to be very clear on this one point. This does not involve any players or their families, and anything that suggests otherwise, or anyone that suggests otherwise, is wildly inaccurate, and frankly, it's disgusting.
Perry scored 4 goals and 5 assists in 16 games with the Blackhawks. Patrick Kane has made his free agency decision. Gethin Coolbaugh explains.
Patrick Kane is joining the Detroit Red Wings, choosing the championship-rich franchise over other suitors for the 3-time Stanley Cup winners' return to the NHL from injury. A person with knowledge of the decision told the Associated Press on Tuesday Kane has agreed to a contract worth a prorated $2.75 million. The 35-year-old Kane was an unrestricted free agent rehabbing from hip resurfacing surgery in June. The longtime Blackhawk and former number 1 overall pick was traded to the New York Rangers last season after spending his first 15 seasons with Chicago. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
2 Toronto Blue Jays have reportedly appeared in trade talks. According to The Athletic's Ken Rosenthal, Toronto has received phone calls inquiring about the availability for Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Rosenthal adds that he believes it would make little sense for the Jays to trade the 2 stars. But neither player are signed long-term, and the Jays are at risk of losing the 2 players for nothing to free agency in 2 years. Blue Jays general manager Ross Atkins seemed to deny the rumors today about Bichette, saying that he is our shortstop moving forward. The Blue Jays were reported to be one of the teams chasing 2-way superstar Shohei Ohtani along with the Texas Rangers and Los Angeles Dodgers. NBA in-season tournament group play action is set to conclude tonight with 8 games on deck. This includes the Toronto Raptors, who will be on the road in Brooklyn to face the Nets. The Raptors have been eliminated from advancing farther in the tournament, but the Nets are still alive. They will try and play spoiler tonight with that game tipping off at 4:30. Other games at 4:30 include the Hornets and Knicks, Hawks and Cavs, Bulls and Celtics, and Bucks and Heat. The Thunder take on the Timberwolves at 5, while the Rockets are in Dallas to play the Mavs. And to wrap up the action, the Warriors will travel to Sacramento to take on the Kings at 7. Charlotte Hornets guard LaMelo Ball is set to miss an extended period of time. Ball has suffered what is being described as a serious ankle sprain, according to The Athletic's Shams Charania. This is the same ankle injury that Ball sustained last year that required him to get season-ending surgery in February. The Hornets will take a cautious approach to the 22-year-old's health, but tests show Ball avoided another fracture. Ball suffered the injury Monday facing the Orlando Magic. His layup was contested and forced him to fall awkwardly just before the end of the second quarter. Recent studies find that heading a soccer ball may actually affect your brain function over the years. Chuck Sievertson of ABC News has more.
Increased heading or hitting a soccer ball with your head has been linked with concussion-like brain function changes and lower verbal learning performance in 2 studies. They were conducted by researchers at Columbia University and presented at the Radiological Society of North America annual medical conference. In both studies, adult amateur soccer players were categorized in groups of low to moderate headers or high. Brain MRIs were done at the beginning and after 2 years. Verbal learning was tested after 1 year. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
That does it for your 3:30 Sports Update. I'm Nathan Maley, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.